I did the same day twice. Arrive at open, first ride, lunch, the afternoon grind, dinner, the night show. Walk out at close. Once at Epic Universe, once at Magic Kingdom. Same family, same kid, same camera, and I kept score. 11 categories: rides, theming, the front gate, crowds, getting around, food, kids, shows, hotels, merch, and price. A winner in every single one. I'm not going to tell you the total yet because the total surprised me, and I think it'll surprise you. What I'll tell you is that the 3 categories Disney wins are the 3 most families actually plan a trip around. And the one that surprised me most is the one nobody compares: how you get through the front gate. Universal wins it, and the way they win is going to make some of you uncomfortable. Start at the gate, because this is where the 2 parks tell you who their Magic Kingdom has the most famous arrival in the business. Parking, tram, the transportation and ticket center, a monorail or a ferry, the bag check, the tap in. It's a journey. And Disney knows it's a journey. The train station framing Main Street as you walk under, it's one of the great reveals in theme park design. It's also door to door, the slowest front gate in Orlando. Epic doesn't make you earn it. You walk up, you walk through the portal, and you're in Celestial Park in minutes. And the reason it's that fast is facial recognition. Universal calls it photo validation. You enroll once, a camera on a post reads your face, matches it to your ticket, and the gate opens. No card, no band, no phone out. And this year they confirmed they're using the same system at the portals into the individual worlds when a virtual line is running, so a return time can be required to walk into a specific land, and your face is the ticket. Now the uncomfortable part. It's optional. You can decline, but if you decline, you're showing a photo ID at a podium while the family behind you walks straight through. That's not really a choice. That's a speed bump. And some people aren't okay with a theme park holding a template of their face. I get it. I'm telling you how it works so you can decide before you're standing in line. But the category is speed and friction at the gate, and on that, it's not close. Universal wins the gate, and that's the last easy call of the day. First ride at Epic is Stardust Racers, because you go straight at the headliner while the line is short. Dual launch coaster, 2 trains racing each other through Celestial Park, and the warning sign in front of it tells you everything about this park. Magic Kingdom's opening move is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, or Tron if you got the virtual queue. Tron is a genuinely great launch coaster, but here's the thing about Magic Kingdom's ride lineup. It's broad, not deep. Pirates, Haunted Mansion, Big Thunder, Space Mountain, Tiana's, Peter Pan, Small World, 20 plus attractions. The blogs will tell you that means Magic Kingdom wins on rides because there are more of them and the crowd spreads out. I'm going to disagree with them because I didn't go to ride 20 things. I went to ride the best things. And the best things at Epic are in a different weight class. Donkey Kong Minecart Madness, where the track visually breaks and the cart jumps the gap. Mario Kart, which is a dark ride and a game at the same time. Hiccup's Wing Gliders out over the water at Burke. Monsters Unchained in Dark Universe, which is the most intense attraction in the park. And Battle at the Ministry in the Wizarding World. Every one of those is a headliner. Magic Kingdom has maybe 3 rides I would put in that tier, and they're 30, 40, 50 years old. That's not a knock. They have lasted that long because they're perfect. But if the category is the ride you're still talking about on the drive home, Epic wins it. One honest note, because I promised honest. The waits at Epic are real. For a park with a fraction of Magic Kingdom's capacity, the averages this year have run 45 to 80 plus minutes, and the big rides go down more often than they should. On the day you're there, that matters. Some of those headliners will be closed for part of it. Plan for it. Now flip it, because there's a second kind of ride, and it's the one Disney invented. Haunted Mansion is not a thrill. It's a story you sit inside for 9 minutes. Pirates is a story. Carousel of Progress is literally a story told in 4 acts, and I got the last full show before it closed for the overhaul. Tiana's is a story. Even Small World is a story, whether you want it to be or not. Epic has story. Dark Universe is a 1931 monster movie you can walk through, and I have a full tour of it on this channel. The Ministry queue is as good as a queue gets, but the rides themselves are built to thrill you first and tell you something second. Disney's are built the other way around. And then there are the shows. Epic's nighttime moment is Celestial Park lit up, the fountains, the walk back out. It's beautiful. Magic Kingdom ends with Happily Ever After, which is a fireworks show with a castle as a projection screen and 20 years of songs behind it, and I've watched grown adults cry at it. I've been one of them. Storytelling rides and shows. Disney, and it's not close. Here's where it gets interesting, because you would think the park that wins storytelling wins theming. It doesn't. Magic Kingdom's lands are themed. Fantasyland, Frontierland, Adventureland. Each one is beautiful and each one bleeds into the next. You can stand in Liberty Square and see the castle and see Tomorrowland and see a Starbucks. Epic's worlds are sealed. You go through a portal and the park you just left is gone. In Isle of Berk, everything you can see is Berk. The water, the Viking ships, the dragons, the mead hall. In Nintendo World, you're standing inside the game. In Dark Universe, the windmill is on fire on a loop, and the village is in permanent dusk. That's a different level of commitment. Disney does individual moments better than anyone alive. Epic does whole worlds. For overall immersion, park-wide Epic. And one thing I have to say, because I shot it in July, Epic is hot. It's the least shaded park I've ever been in. Celestial Park at 2 in the afternoon is empty. And it's empty because nobody can stand on it. The sealed worlds are great. The walk between them is brutal. Bring the hat. 2 in the afternoon is when a theme park shows you what it's made of, because that's when everybody is inside it at once. Magic Kingdom at 2 o'clock is packed. It's always packed, but it's packed across 20 plus attractions, a parade, 3 lands with indoor air conditioning, and a hub the size of a city block. The crowd has somewhere to go. I log wait times at this park every hour for the site, and the thing the data shows is that even on a 9 out of 10 day, most of the lineup is under 40 minutes most of the time, because the headliners soak up the crowd for everybody else. Epic at 2 o'clock is a different problem. The park is newer, smaller, and every single person in it wants the same 5 rides. So you get this strange thing where the park doesn't feel crowded. Celestial Park is half empty, and the waits are the longest in Orlando. 45 to 80 minutes on average this year, with bad days over 100, and that's at a fraction of Magic Kingdom's capacity. And when one of the big 5 goes down, which happens, those people all move to the other 4. I watched it happen. Magic Kingdom has had 50 years to learn how to absorb a Tuesday in July. Epic is 1 year into learning it. That's not a forever verdict. It's a 2026 verdict. Nobody puts transportation on a scorecard, and it decides more of your day than the rides do. Disney's transportation grid is the most elaborate thing of its kind anywhere. Monorail, ferry, buses, the Skyliner, boats between resorts. It's free, it runs constantly, and I've made a whole video about how they just locked it down to resort guests. It's also a system. You're waiting for a bus, then riding the bus, then walking from the bus, door to castle from a moderate resort is comfortably an hour. Universal's answer is to not need a system. Stella Nova and Terra Luna are a 10-minute walk from the Epic Gate. Helios is inside the gate. The older hotels run boats and buses to the other two parks, and City Walk is in the middle of everything. For a one park, one hotel day, you'll spend less of it in transit at Universal than anywhere at Disney. But Disney has 4 parks, 2 water parks, Disney Springs, and 30-some hotels on one grid, and you can get between any 2 of them without a car. Universal has 3 parks and a handful of hotels. For a day, Universal. For a week, the grid wins, and it's not close. Lunch at Epic is Toadstool Cafe, and it's the best quick service I've eaten at Universal. The food looks like the game. The window shows Toad cooking. The kid lost his mind. Dinner was the Burning Blade Tavern in Dark Universe, where the windmill over the bar catches fire on a loop while you eat. Epic's food is genuinely good, and it's themed harder than any Disney quick service. But the category is food, and food is not one meal. Magic Kingdom has Be Our Guest inside the Beast Castle, Liberty Tree Tavern, Cinderella's Royal Table inside the actual castle, Skipper Canteen, Casey's Tiana's Palace, Character Dining, where the characters come to your table, and that's one park. Across the resort, you're looking at more than 200 places to eat. I've priced every item on every one of those menus for this channel, and the range is absurd, from a $10 lunch to a $500 bottle of champagne at Be Our Guest. Disney has been doing this for 50 years, and it shows. Diversity, table service, character meals, the sheer number of options, food Disney. Now the category I care about most, because I'm not doing these parks alone. At Epic, my son could ride Yoshi and Mario Kart and the Mine Cart. He couldn't do Stardust or Monsters or Hiccups, and those are the rides the park is built around. Epic is a park for a slightly older kid. The rides are a step more intense across the board. The queues are longer, and there's a lot of walking in the sun between the worlds. At Magic Kingdom, he can ride almost everything. Haunted Mansion, his favorite ride on Earth, has no height requirement at all. Neither does Pirates, or Small World, or Peter Pan, or the Carousel. The park was designed for a 6-year-old in 1971, and it has never stopped being for that kid. If the trip is about the kid, and the kid is small Disney, not close. Merch is the one I genuinely couldn't split. Epic stores are themed as hard as the lands. The Nintendo store is an attraction on its own, and Burke's shop has dragon eggs that hatch. Disney's merch is broader. The Emporium is enormous, and nobody does a seasonal collection like Disney. Quality, both. Price, both about the same. Tie. Tickets are closer than people think. A one-day Epic Universe ticket runs $139 to $199 before tax, depending on the date. A one-day Magic Kingdom ticket runs $139 to $209. On the cheapest days of the year, they're the same price. On the busiest days, Epic tops out $10 lower, and Universal's multi-day bundles fold Epic in, which is where the real gap opens up. The place Universal gets you is Express Pass, which can run more than the ticket. Disney's Lightning Lane is cheaper per day and more annoying to use. Pick your poison. On the base price, Universal. Hotels. I stayed at Stella Nova for Epic. A 10-minute walk to the gate, clean, modern, and the price was right. And then there's Helios Grand, which is the hotel that is the park. It sits at the back of Celestial Park. You look at the whole thing from your balcony, and you walk out a private entrance into Epic. It's a spectacular building. It starts around $500 a night, and the catch people miss is that it doesn't come with the unlimited Express Pass the other Universal Deluxe hotels do. Disney has the Contemporary with the monorail running through the lobby, Bay Lake Tower, the Polynesian, Wilderness Lodge, the Grand Floridian, and on the other end, Art of Animation and Pop, which are some of the best value on property. Disney has more of them, a lot more, and that's the only place this category is not a coin flip. Spectacular on both sides. Helios is as good a theme park hotel as exists anywhere. If you take the number of hotels out of it, I can't pick. Too close to call. So there's the day. Epic 5, Disney 4, 2 ties. Here's my actual answer, because a score is not an answer. If you have one day in Orlando and the trip is about you, the rides, the worlds, the thing you'll tell people about, Epic Universe, it's the most ambitious theme park built in my lifetime, and it's not really a question. If the trip is about a small kid, or about the meals, or about the night ending with the castle and a show that makes you feel something, Magic Kingdom. And that's most families. What I actually think is that you're watching the two best theme parks in America get built on the same street. And the reason Disney should be worried is not that Epic is better. It's that for the first time, it's a fair fight. Every category I scored, both parks were awesome. Disney hasn't had a neighbor that could say that in 50 years. Tell me where I got it wrong. I already know the rides one is going to start a fight. Which park would you pick for one day, and who are you taking? That's the whole question. If you want the full Dark Universe tour, it's on the channel now, and I have the same camera going to Islands of Adventure next, because a piece of that park is about to disappear.